Ladies and gentlemen, it is currently August 8th, 2010, which means it is my brother's birthday in 3 days. And this is Day 9 Daily number 161. Oh my goodness, I'm awfully high up today. Let me just adjust. I'd like you to know I found an extra pair of contacts. I haven't worn contacts in like months. I've been wearing these friggin' glasses that have become my trademark. See how they're like broken and everything? And of course they broke when I was trying to put them on, but I was like 6 inches to the left and just stabbed myself in the eye. But I just kept pushing until it snapped off, so it's okay now. It's doing pretty well, but I mean, everything's huge now. I don't know if any of you are like contact users and you switch between your glasses and your contacts, but I'm actually -8.5 in both eyes. So watch the shrinkage. All right, now look at my eyes. Oh, they're so much smaller. Oh my god. And of course, works the other way too. So everything just looked kind of tiny when I had my glasses on. I thought it was just because I was gigantic. I'm like 6'3", which is, in metric, something big. I don't care to do the conversion. You can multiply it by 2.54 or whatever. But oh my god, I put in these contacts, and I played a game of Starcraft 2, and my zealots were like huge. It was like so easy to micro, and my monitors just looked enormous. I like took off my pants, and I was like, yes! You know, like seriously, it is amazing having contacts in. Like I really now know why I used to purchase them. Glasses are so easy, but contacts, things are so much easier. Oh god, I'm feeling great. I'm wearing my Left 4 Dead shirt, which of course, wonderful game. And speaking of wonderful games, we have an interesting match coming up between White-rA and MadFrog. Now, I probably shouldn't say interesting match because I haven't seen the game, but it's gotten a lot of buzz across many of the Starcraft 2 sites. Of course, I thought, let's go ahead and do a blind daily on it. And of course, when I say blind, I mean didn't watch it at all beforehand. Because I have been doing a lot of pre-prepared stuff. Why do that? Now, for any of you who didn't know, the little one has been playing against MadFrog in a series of show matches up in Europe land. And MadFrog really impressed me with his Zerg play. He just was very proactive about using a lot of creep and expanding a bunch and making use of his larva, and he looked like Zerg. You know, because there's this kind of StarCraft 2 Zerg where it's like, I have 15 roaches and I'm maxed, and that's your whole friggin' army. But StarCraft 1 Zerg was just like waves. It was hard to play Zerg because you couldn't control group all of your units even if you used 1 through 0. That's the kind of Zerg I miss. That's the kind of Zerg that we got to see unleashed upon the little one in that series. So definitely check that out. And the replays are lurking about as well. So without further ado, Day 9 Daily number 161, let's jump right in. And for those of you who are first timers, this is the Day 9 Daily where we learn how to be a better gamer. Sure, I sometimes get excited, but probably not at the big explosions, more at the more cerebral aspects of the game. And here is Duckload Raw, which is gotta be the funniest thing I have ever heard in my life. Oh yeah, by the way, this is where I got the replay from sc2.replayers.com. And you know, it's one of my favorite things to see the new StarCraft 2 replay sites come out, because people are running out of permutations of the word replays. They're like re-StarCraft 2 players.cjb.ru, and you know, it's a StarCraft replay site. But either way, delighted to direct you there. So we have MadFrog spawning here. He is the blue jergy at the right. And we have Duckload Raw, more commonly known as White-rA, but perhaps White-rA was getting annoyed that the mature language filter bleeps out the word white. So every time I was talking about him, I was like, yeah, I watched a great match between Demaga and Beep Ra. So looks like he went with Duckload, which isn't filtered by the language filter, but it sounds like it should be. So just scouting relatively early. I like an early scout on this map as Protoss just because Zerg is so far away. But one thing to note right off the bat, for any of you who are unfamiliar with this, Zergs love Scrap Station. If there was any map I had to choose as the Zerg map that made every Zerg fist pump, it would be Scrap Station for 2 big reasons. First of all, natural, very, very easy to take. If we just poke over here at the map, this natural, notice you're expanding away from your opponent, both by air and ground. You have a choke here. It's a little wide, but you can use Zerglings really easily, and the distances are far. So, you know, you really like having a good expansion. And the second reason that's very helpful is that your main, literally on this screen right here, this is the only bit of area where there's access to your main, which means that Reapers are suddenly not really a problem, nor are Hellions, because you can knock them out right here. So all those early obnoxious harasses that Terrans were really able to brutalize Zergs with on other maps really isn't the case on Scrap Station. So a lot of Zergs love early 14 hatching. Sometimes I'll say 14 command centering when I talk about Zerg, but I guess that's just because I've been playing the Starcraft 2 single player, which, by the way, I'm really good at. So this is my build. Medic Marine. So that's my build, so I really like my build on that game. So either way, it looks like White-rA's throwing down a Gateway on 12. Pretty typical, very European style. And he's chrono boosting now, scouting about. And MadFrog, already there's an interesting thing that I've seen him do a lot, which is that he just keeps making friggin' drones. Now, one thing to note, this is actually a huge point to gripe on. It doesn't feel like it, but I want you to know it should feel like it. Where did my train of thought go? I was like, oh, this is going to be so great. And then I looked around and everything was large because I had contacts on. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then I realized that I was on a webcam in front of a bunch of people looking like a dumbass. Great, coming right back. So, yeah, so a lot of times people will build more workers as Zerg because, I hate to use this word, but it has a good flow with the larva. You never hit a point where you have 3 larvae just sitting around doing nothing. For instance, if you went 10 hatch and then 9 pool, when you make the hatch on 10, you build up to 3 larvae and you still only have like 100 minerals. You have to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait, and then you can build a pool and then you can make a drone. And that feels wasteful to have 3 larvae chilling around. So right when StarCraft 2 came out, people started to make hatches on 16 with a pool on 15. But the problem is they died. They would just lose to any rush at all because that's a bit late. So most Zergs are steering towards 14 or 13 hatch. By the way, for any of you who don't know this notation I'm using, I'm referring to this food in the top right, how it says 14 of 18. If I say hatch on 14, you build it when that says 14. Most people are steering a little bit towards that, and that seems reasonable, but I've seen MadFrog just keep building frickin' drones, but he's also very active about scouting, and that's another thing that I think a lot of Zerg players have not really been doing, trying to be very flexible with their openers, try to scout as much as possible, and try to get away with as many drones as possible. Instead, people are just following into these siloed build orders, 14 pools, 16 hatch, straight up repetitive, no variation in the slightest, and I like this minor flexibility that he's doing. It does give him quite a bit of an edge. Because sometimes I'll just be like, oh, hey, I can just throw down an expansion. Looks like we have a drone going here by... he's expanding to the gold. This is not something that you see very often. So, I mean, everything in the main looks normal. He went ahead and got gas and pool, and he's getting the queen. And because he got the gas and pool so late on 16, he was able to squeeze in a hatchery. Typically, you cannot do that, so that's very cool by him. Now, I do want to come back to White-rA, because he is awesome, and he is like the nicest, most mannered person in the universe. But White-rA's playing pretty normally. 1 gate, forge, expand. Very ordinary, not the best map to do it on, because look at all this space he's trying to cover, but still, a solid build, almost always. So, looks like queen coming up right now, and I'm very curious to see how MadFrog is going to defend this. So, now you always hear me do a daily for about an hour every day, but I throw in like a lot of details that really you don't actually need to teach yourself stuff. So whenever I see a build like what MadFrog's doing, the one sentence I say to myself is, he wants to get the gold because it gives him more money, but how's he going to defend the gold early? And that's pretty much all I'm going to think about until he looks defended. Then I'm going to think about, cool, what is he going to do with that gold expansion? 2 very simple questions that will, if you just keep asking yourself those same questions over and over and over again, you can get a whole lot of weight out of it, because a lot of people just take the gold expansions because, it's gold, I'm awesome, but they don't acknowledge the fact that they are getting extra minerals, and how can they specifically make use of that? Are they taking another expansion earlier, or something like that? So, it looks like MadFrog's getting the very fast metabolic boost speed. Very smart to get. He can put pressure on Protoss. He can kill off probes that are trying to build pylons for warp gates. He can knock back zealots. He's not getting that many Zerglings. Going to the production tab, we still see drones mainly being made from MadFrog, but the fact that he's getting speed will allow him to control a lot of space a lot more easily. So here is the almost done metabolic boost, and when that finishes, this probe will die. See ya, probe. But unfortunately, it did see the creep. But either way, so White-rA now knows that there's an expansion there, but this is always the problem that you're going to have as as Duckload Ra. what do right now? You've seen speed zerglings, you see a gold, that's about it. You're kind of forced into passivity. This is great placement by Duckload-Ra, aka White-rA. But just the fact that he sees speed is going to make him a little bit leerier to do anything. So, either way, cool. I like this play by MadFrog. You normally can't afford an evolution chamber, but hey, we're taking a gold expo. We get a little bit of an extra boost. We can do the same thing that we would have done with a normal expansion, plus a little bit. And yeah, he's, having to burn a touch of gas there. But, same basic idea. When I'm Zerg and I early expand against Protoss, I do blah. If I early expand against Protoss with a gold, I can do blah plus evolution chamber. Cool. Duckload-Ra taking the double gas. Looks like he has not yet made extra gateways. And I do like getting a super absurdly fast double gas, because getting the sentries out is really important for blocking a lot of busts, and we just like having gas around early on as Protoss. So this is, again, a great use of this Zergling speed upgrade. This is one of those reasons why Zergs do love this map. They can just do a lot of control maneuvers. 8 lings plus speed, not a huge investment. Always going to be useful, and this sort of stuff makes it even scarier. So hatchery going down, just double queening it up. This looks like your usual opener as Zerg, but again, I'm thinking things like, how's he going to defend it? Oh, well, remember those 2 questions I said? How's he going to defend it? Looks like he's making a few extra Zerglings early on. Looks like he has already finished the +1 attack upgrade. And yeah, look, Spire's coming out now. Okay, so that is a normal friggin' play. Just speed Zergling into layer into Spire. Easy peasy, right? Especially against an early expanding Protoss that can't really screw with you too much early on. That's awesome. And I know, like, people at Reddit like to play the day 9 drinking game, where they probably take a shot every time I say, isn't that normal? It's the most normal thing in the world. But I like repeating that, because I think it's too easy for your eyes to get big and for you to go, oh, I have the gold, I can do everything, and then you expand like 9 times. You're like, oh, throw 4 evolution chambers down. But it's important that you acknowledge that it's a slight advantage, and you do a thing with it, or maybe 2 if you're really good. But that you have this underlying, straightforward, fundamentally sound style of play. And Zergling right into Muta is fundamentally sound. Not going to go into too much detail as to why it's fundamentally sound, because, I don't want to keep pausing, because I'm interested to see what happens. But, pretty decent placement by White-rA, by His Highness Duckload. Okay, cool. Alright, Void-Ray's coming out. Very unusual transition, and of course, as I'm talking about this, I do see that there's like a Zergling bust going on here. That I'll go ahead and focus on the Zergling bust and then the Void-Rays. So, this is one of those moves that I'm always a little leery of, so that was pretty incredible. That, MadFrog was able to break in there. I'm curious, did he see these? No, he didn't. Okay. Anytime you see one of these busts in a tournament, again, if this were a tournament shoutcast where the focus was excitement, I'd be like, oh my god, he's gonna break through. If I were watching this live, I'd probably be having, diarrhea and excitement. But, since I'm just watching here, trying to be a better gamer, this is a sort of move that backfires